Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Today I want to talk about an old subject but with a new twist, new information. I want to talk about the Intifada. Now, for those who don't know, Intifada, that's Arabic for uprising or rebellion, something like that. I don't speak Arabic. But it's the name that the Palestinians are giving to their attacks on Israel. They want to accomplish three goals. They want a Palestinian state. They want to have the capital of that state in Jerusalem. They want to divide Jerusalem in half. And they want what they call the right of return. To have not just refugees under international law, which means people that were in a war zone and had to flee the fighting or were forced out or for various other reasons were in a location and they had to leave. Now, it does not mean descendants of refugees, but what the Palestinians are doing, as is pretty well known, is they want the refugees, of which there are less than 100,000 and probably a lot less than that, because the oldest one would be in his 70s by now. It was from 1948 until now, but they want to count the millions of their children and grandchildren, their descendants, as refugees. They want them to all be allowed into Israel, which obviously means the end of Israel. Now, there have been past attempts you have to understand that these refugees and descendants of refugees are right now in camps, and they've been in these camps for decades. One of these camps is in Lebanon. There have been calls to get these Palestinians out of these camps, to get them into Lebanon, to let them live in Lebanon, which is what usually happens with refugees. You have to go to another country and then you assimilate into that country. You get a job, you raise a family, so on and so forth, and you become a citizen eventually of that country, which is what's happening in Europe right now when you have all these immigrants from these Arab countries going to, say, Germany and getting full-time residence there, and they can go anywhere in Germany, but not the Palestinians in Lebanon. They are confined to these camps. When there have been these calls to pressure Lebanon to let these Palestinians out of these camps, let them, for instance, they're not allowed to hold property, they're not allowed to hold jobs. Most jobs, I think there are a couple jobs that they're allowed to hold, but by and large, they cannot work and live freely in Lebanon. Now, every time this has been brought up, the Palestinians in the Palestinian Authority have always said, no, they cannot come back here. They have to go to Israel or they have to stay in these camps. They cannot come here. Obviously, that's because they want to destroy Israel, because it makes sense. Well, this is what Israel did after the War of Independence. They accepted Jews from all over the world. They were not demanding that the Jews, the refugees from Europe after the war, the Holocaust, that they go to other countries and that they could not come to Israel. They were welcome in Israel. If they wanted to go somewhere else, they could go somewhere else, but they were welcome in Israel because, number one, they were fellow Jews. Number two, they wanted to build their country. To this very day, Israel encourages Jewish immigration because they want to build their country and increase the population. The Palestinians in the Palestinian Authority and Gaza, exactly the opposite. They do not want these Palestinians, their fellow Arabs, their fellow Palestinians, suffering in these camps to come to the Palestinian Authority and become part of a Palestinian state that they say they hope to achieve someday. They must go to Israel. Now, this is where we get to the Intifada, because this is what the Intifada has traditionally been about. But there's, well, I'll put up this article here, The New Palestinian Intifada in Lebanon. This is very interesting. Let me just read you some quotes here. It's fascinating, but it's also destroying a commonly held narrative. So here we go. I'll just go right down the line of quotes. The Palestinian refugees in Lebanon have erupted in a new kind of intifada, demanding integration in Lebanon. Hence the desperate giving up of the right of return. In other words, this demand that the Palestinians go to Israel. They're giving up on that demand, these Palestinians that are in Lebanon. All right, continuing. The trigger for the turmoil among the refugees was, and again, these are not just refugees, they're using this term refugees, but it's refugees and all of their descendants. And also they're using the term, you'll see later, Palestine, but there has never been a country called Palestine. This would be a brand new state if it was ever created, but I'm just going to go by the terminology in the article so that I can just read the quotes verbatim. So, continuing on, the trigger for the turmoil among the refugees was the Lebanese Ministry of Labor actions against foreign laborers in the state, including the Palestinians, who, even after all the years that have passed, are still considered guests and cannot receive work permits. The Syrian crisis caused a deep demographic change in Lebanon after 1 million Sunni Syrians flooded the country, including many Palestinians from the Syrian camps. The change has introduced many radical elements and reinforced various al-Qaeda groups in the camps in Lebanon. Lebanon doesn't want them to set down roots in the country, and in any case, the Lebanese hate the Syrians and want to throw them out and to use the opportunity to get rid of the Palestinians. So let me jump in here again. These are fellow Arabs who are supposed to be supporting the Palestinians, but they don't want them. They're really not wanted anywhere. If you knew, well, I'm not going to tell you what an Arab friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, said about the Palestinians, but they are not loved. They're giving lip service, but as you may have noticed, they're not giving much money anymore to the so-called Palestinian cause. There's been a sea change because these countries, while starting to distance themselves from the Palestinians and their cause, are moving closer to the Israelis. But as usual, I'm digressing. That's a whole other topic. So back to the quotes. The Palestinians are signaling that they specifically want to be absorbed into Lebanon, and they don't believe the PLO slogans of the right of return to Palestine. No, repeat, no refugees from Syria wants to go to Palestine. They all want to go to Turkey and beyond to Europe. Can you see how this refutes, actually I would say destroys a prevailing narrative? You have these Palestinians in these camps. They do not want to go to the disputed territories. They do not want to go to Judea and Samaria. They do not want to go to Gaza. They want to go, well, as it said here, Turkey, or to be absorbed into Lebanon, which makes more sense. Why not just let them out of the camps and let them work, live where they want to, let them get the jobs they want, and they can still, as we Jews did for 2,000 years, dream of returning to Palestine or wherever they want. There's no reason for them to suffer in the meantime. If we Jews had held that same attitude, where would we be today? Much worse off. We certainly would not have won all those Nobel Prizes. We know that because I haven't heard of any Palestinians winning any Nobel Prizes lately. So what I'm saying is simply this. The people who profess to care about the Palestinians, including other Palestinians, if they really care about the Palestinians more than they hate Israel, more than they want to destroy Israel, then they should start putting pressure not on Israel, but on these other countries, their fellow Arabs, to absorb these Palestinians into their societies. That's my rant for today. I'm going to sign off now. Thanks as usual for stopping by and for listening and watching. Thumbs up if you like this video. If you have any comments to disagree with or to agree with what I just said, put that in the comments section below the video. You can also put any suggestions you might have for a topic for me to cover in that same comment section. If you have a Twitter account, you can tweet out my URLs to your followers, urge them to retweet and of course to watch the videos. And finally, you can subscribe to my channel and you will be alerted as soon as I post a new video. That's it. See you all again soon, and until I see you all again soon, bye.